going on, everybody? Welcome in. We're on episode 10 of the Magnolia Made podcast, the podcast that discusses all things high school baseball related across the state of Mississippi. I know a lot of things are going on. Super or regionals are going on right now. I think Matt said Mississippi State's in the 9th. Is that right?
Yeah, top of 9. Now it's down. They're down 7-2. It was a really good ball game. Southern Miss was trailing too, so it's not looking real good at the moment for Mississippi.
Trying to keep up with, I know, trying to get the podcast in. A lot of things going on with college ball going on tonight, and I'm sure everybody's sitting around watching some games and stuff. We wanted to hop on just briefly and kind of go over some things that have been happening across the state the last 2 weeks. I know Matt made the trip over to Trustmark Park and was able to catch the state finals 2 weeks ago, and then from there he's been busy with a couple scout days and the Jackson Summer ID last week. So a lot of things to kind of go over this evening. Trying to make this fairly quick. We're stay on here for an hour and a half or whatever tonight, but just wanted to get on and touch on some standout performers and stuff from the last couple of events that Matt's had, in the last 2 weeks. State championship games. We'll run through that real quick.
Yeah, that was a busy week. Trying to get to as many games as I could, and then see, my son's team had his schedule was kind of all over Jackson too, so back and forth from Trustmark. But man, it was some really good baseball and some really big crowds, and some things that happened that I wasn't quite sure were going to happen, and proved me wrong a few teams. So we'll get to it, but shout out to those guys.
Yeah, I know you sent me a video of the 7A crowd there with Brandon and Hernando, and it looked. I will
say Brandon is from there, so that that's easy
true
to get there. But for a state championship final, that was a really cool thing to see how big the crowd was, and even some of the other classes had some big crowds too. I think Sumrall and Ripley's last game, there was quite a big crowd too. So it was pretty good fan base for all games.
Yeah, and especially being at a minor league ballpark. I mean, filling up those seats, that's pretty impressive. So
Jackson is, I think they're in it's Pearl, I guess. The Pearl Braves or Mississippi Braves. I think this is the last year of the affiliation with the Braves. I think another team is coming in, but they drew. I mean, the other night. I mean, I would imagine the reason, things aren't. I mean, well, I've heard that the attendance isn't great there, but man, that place was packed out for those few days.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And let's talking about. I know we talked about your record the last few weeks that we've been on here. State finals week, it looks like you posted a 4-3 record overall, and then total with the week by week, we're at 54-18. So
I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I am gonna toot my own horn. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You got the 1A series correct with Taylorsville. 2A, you had East Union winning. St. Andrews ended up winning that series in the third game. 3A, you went with West Marion over East Webster. East Webster ended up winning that series. 4A, you chose Sumrall, and obviously they won that series there. 5A, Van Cleve, you went with Van Cleve. They won that series. 6A, you went with George County. I believe they swept that series. And then 7A, you went with Hernando, and then Brandon ended up taking that series. So,
yeah, and and I think we came out with the Power 25 also, and let me touch on that briefly. But I felt like we could go 2 ways with the Power 25 at the end of the year. In the beginning of the year, it's who we think the top teams and including all players, kind of where we see them sit. And so you're going to see a lot of 7As and 6As at the very high end of that list. And I think what we kind of looked at the end of the year is maybe rewarding some of those guys, those teams that won the state championship. So you'll see, Taylorsville in at like 23, and then East Webster, who was unranked all year, they got it done, man. They were the real deal in 3A. They're in the rankings. I think there's 9 out of all of the state championships. I think we had 9 state champions in the rankings. Of course, some of the MAIS smaller schools aren't in there, but congrats to those guys as well. But I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'll throw it up. Let me throw it on here real quick.
Jackson Prep, hands down, number one. Now, like I've said all along, and this isn't a knock on Jackson Prep, but if they played 7A baseball, they would have had a few more losses. It's just how it is. Summerall, really good program, really good season. We'll touch on that in a second, but put up the numbers all year. Played some bigger schools. Magnolia Heights is a strong program every year. I had them up there. George County, probably the biggest riser of the whole year. I mean, you're talking about a team that was unranked, and they punched me right in my mouth and finished fourth in the state, and won the 6A.
I think you had them at like 18 or 19 there going into that last that last week of the spring.
I don't think I had them ranked in the very beginning of the season, though.
No, for sure.
So I mean, they came through and had a pretty good run. Yeah. Hernando, I still think Hernando's really good. I think Brandon just had it ready. Well, they were ready, I'm sure we'll touch on that too. But
I think you had a comment on Facebook. Somebody asked why Van Cleve was behind Hernando. I mean,
yeah, I see the comments. I'll tell you, I'll be brief. Hernando's better than Van Cleve. They've got just a stronger overall team. Now, if they played a 3-game series, could Van Cleve pull it out? Yeah, they got some pitching. But just overall, my opinion as someone who's spent their life in this game, and I'm wrong sometimes, but I think Hernando's a better overall, when it comes to power rating or power ranking. I think they're a better, a stronger team. I'll say it that way, because you can see there's a lot of teams on here that pulled it out, that we didn't think were. But Lewisburg just didn't get it done this year. They had the pitching to do it. They lost Talon Haley at the very end of the season, but they had the pitching, but they didn't get it done. It happens. That's baseball, and it works out that way sometimes. But Lewisburg, if I had to bet on Lewisburg right now, I'd probably pull for them in a lot of different series because the pitching is just so good. So it's not a knock on anybody on this list. Anybody on this list is a very good baseball team. There's teams not on this list that are very good baseball teams. So people can get rowdy on social media sometimes and throw out some unprofessional, things. But at the end of the day, man, this is fun for us. We mean nothing against any of these teams. But I for sure want you to take it and use it as fuel. I mean, that's why these things are made is teams that aren't listed as high as other teams or teams that aren't picked to win can use it as bulletin board material and fire their team up. So this is just opinions. You may believe strongly in your own opinion, and that's fine. Create your own list.
You want to keep going?
No, I get myself in trouble sometimes. No, but Jackson Prep, I think everybody, sees that they look at the run they had. They had arguably the best player in the state of Mississippi and one of the top high school players in the nation, kind of running things and leading things over there for them. And just it is what it is. Brandon wasn't ranked very high at all. Even fell out of the rankings in the beginning of during the middle part of the year. But going into the season, I think we had them ranked, and they just faltered at the beginning, but they pulled it together for that series and made a really good run throughout the playoffs.
And I got to bring this up. I know a Ripley come in at 14 on our rankings. What about Ty Long's performance down there in Trustmark?
I tell you what, man, I was at the first game and
18. Was it 18 strikeouts?
I don't even know if Ty's going. I didn't think he was going to Southern Miss to pitch because I thought he was going to be more of a position player, But after that performance, I'm guessing they're kind of, thinking about possibility of being a two-way guy. He threw exceptionally well the first game. He had. What stood out to me the most is, first of all, he had really good command with his fastball, with 88 to 90. But the thing that just ate up Summerall hitters that first game was his curveball. It started at shoulders and ended up at ankles. It had so much depth to it, and he had really good command of it that night. And it was just the perfect night for him. Everything came together as a pitcher. You have games that you don't have your greatest stuff, you do well. Well, he had his greatest stuff and he did well. I mean, it was everything. The stars aligned that night for him because it was beautiful.
Yeah. I just had to throw that in there. I knew that I'd seen a lot of stuff.
I will say, do we want to talk about this now? Or we want to wait till we get to that matchup.
What
about that particular series?
That's up to you. I mean, I didn't know how much you wanted to elaborate on the series. It's completely up to you.
If we could just skip the 4A when we start talking about all of them briefly.
Okay.
Landon Hawkins. Landon Hawkins was the game 3 pitcher for Sumrall, and he had to go up against Ty Long.
Yeah, Ty threw one. He threw game 1 and won game 3.
And Ty Long threw really well game 3 also. Let's not forget that. He threw really well. But Landon Hawkins got hit in the mouth or in the nose and broke his nose in the first inning. Broke his nose. He had surgery on his nose. I saw him a couple nights ago. He had surgery on his nose and now can't play baseball for 3 or 4 weeks. He stayed in that game. He stayed in that game and threw a complete game shutout. So I mean, you're talking about a guy that got it done when it was time to get it done, and that's a big game performance right there. But yeah, I kind of saw it going that way. I think I picked Sumrall, but Ty Long really, and I'm not saying that Ripley doesn't have other players, but Ty Long showed out that series on the mound for sure.
Yeah. So you want to run through 1A through 7A and just kind of
yeah.
All right, sure. Go ahead.
So we're going first series was Taylorsville. I think I told everybody I'd seen Taylorsville play this year. They actually played against Oak Grove earlier this season and beat Oak Grove with a kid. This is no knock on him, but he wasn't their best arm. Yeah. He was a fastball kind of under the hitting speed, and he just gave it to Oak Grove that day. And then once I got to the state championship, I saw some of their top arms, and they battled, man. They had some college arms on that team, and I think once you get to this level, you'll start seeing the guys that are gonna that are the reason why those classes, those lower classes, why they're at Trustmark. And I think mentioned some of these guys' names. I don't have the stuff pulled up. I think it was, what's the kid's name? Ford. Yeah, I have to go back and look, but yeah, you caught me off guard right there with that one. I got to go to my. Hold on 1 second. Can you pull up the? Okay, there it is.
That's just the scores and who won.
Pine Grove won that game, the second game, right?
Yeah, Taylorsville took game 1 by a final of 6-0. Pine Grove won game 2, 8-7. I think that one may have went into extra innings, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
different series, and then game 3, Taylorsville won 11-4.
Yes, that final game, Ford Matthews is who I'm thinking of. Finished the game off. I think he came in relief the final game and threw 4 2/3, 3 hits, no earned runs to finish that off. And he's one of their top arms on that team. I'm trying to think of the other kids that maybe I saw throughout that. I think the first game I saw was a shutout, and it was by that may have been Ford also. Ford Matthews still shutout. Sorry, actually he didn't go a complete game, but he went 6 1/3, no runs in that game 1. So I don't know if they give out any player of MVPs of the series or anything like that, but I would think that he would have been in the running for that. So congrats to Taylorsville. They've always been a quality program, and they got it done once again.
All right, 2A, St. Andrews took the series over East Union.
Yeah, 2A,
go ahead.
I would have never guessed that anyone would beat Landon Harmon. I know he went out and threw really well game 1. And then, game 2, I did see, I think I will give Justin Ward a shout out. He squared him up pretty good in game 1. And I think we both agree that Justin is a kid who we think is I think he's going to be I feel like he may move to second base at some point at the next level. I'm not saying he doesn't have a strong arm, but I think it's more geared towards maybe the second base role. But he can swing the bat, and I think he's going to be a Division I player myself. But Landon through game 1 and threw really, really well, kind of what you'd expect out of Landon. let's see here. Let me find this. I think it was they flipped 5-0 shutouts.
Yeah, it was 5-0 East Union game 1, 5-0 St. Andrews game 2, and then 9-4 St. Andrews in game 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about Landon Harmon going out and throwing, the first game. I want to say McCulloch. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but McCulloch. I'm not sure of his first name, but I hate doing this sometimes, but I want to give him a shout out. He threw a 5-0, shutout the second game, and then East Union brings back Landon Harmon for that third game, the third game, and Landon didn't throw bad. He threw well too, but he was matched up with Stone Myrick threw, and then Blackard. They just got it done, man. They had a good game, and once you got Landon off the mound, I'm not, like I say, anytime I say this stuff, it's not a knock on any of the pitchers, but Landon's one of the top arms in the state, regardless of the class. But shout out to St. Andrews. They dropped down in class and end up, taking the championship.
Okay, moving on to 3A. East Webster swept that series over West Marion. Final scores of 12-6 and 2-0.
Yeah, West Marion. I just thought, if you could beat those two arms, then that means a lot. They had Colby Stringer and Chase McDonald. That's two of the top arms, regardless of class. They if you make it to that third game, I guess you really got a chance, and that's exactly what East Webster did. They hung out. I think they beat. Let me see here. They beat Chase McDonald started game 1, 4 innings and 3 runs, only 1 earned. But then you knock him out of the game. You're not really going to want to use Colby Stringer in that game because you want him ready for game 2. But East Webster took the first game. Second game, Colby. I think Colby threw pretty well, but he was outpitched, man. He was outpitched by Carson Norwood from East Webster, and I will say this: East Webster, to me, if you're doing like a team of the year type thing, they're in the running for that, man. They ran the table. I think they finished 30-3, maybe.
Yeah, I updated that right after. That was right before state. So yeah, you had those other 2 wins on there. They're 30-3.
30-3 is something to really be excited about. I'll have to look at the our beginning of the season notes and kind of see what they're losing. But hey, that was a beautiful season. They capped it off with a state championship over a really solid West Marion team.
All right, you'll skip over 4A since you've already, or do you want to touch on it?
No, I mean, it is what it is. Summerall, they were consistent all year. I think going in, they had the most balanced attack. They had pitching, they had, hitting, solid defense, and that's kind of what won it for them. I don't think Landon Hawkins in the beginning of the season felt like he would be on the mound for game 3 there, and that's something he's going to be able to. That's a story to tell for the rest of his life, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he is doing well. I saw him a couple nights ago with a brace on his nose, and I think he's just got a little time before he can get back on the diamond this summer.
Uncommitted, by the way.
Yes, he's uncommitted and could be a candidate to go to Atlanta with us.
Yeah, senior future games. All right, Class 5A, Lafayette and Van Cleve. That was the extra inning games I was thinking about right there. That first game went into 12 innings. Lafayette won by a final of 8-7, and then Van Cleve took game 2 and game 3 by scores of 2-1 and 6-1.
Yeah, I think I always kind of knew that Van Cleve had the pitching, and that they kind of proved it. I'm just trying to pull up a few stats here. Let's see. Lafayette took game 1. I think was 8-7, maybe.
8-7,
it was a game, and then the Bulldogs brought in. Let's see here. There's so many names in my mind from all during the season. I think it was Tyler West. Let me make sure. Yeah, Tyler West threw a game 2 for Van Cleve. Ended up going 7 innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts. And I think that was kind of a big win. Considering they lost game 1, you go into game 2, and you win that, then I feel like, from what we've seen throughout the year, that Lafayette had some pitching left. I'm sorry, not Lafayette. Van Cleve had some pitching left, and they threw. I think it was Levi Tapp. Let me make sure. Or, I'm sorry, Aiden Tapp. He comes in and no, I'm right. Levi Tapp. They got a couple of taps. Levi Tapp stepped on the mound for game 3 and threw a really good game. 6 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run. I'm sorry, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, and just got it done when it was ready. When it was time to get done. Lafayette had a really good season, but shout out to Van Cleve for pulling it off.
All right, moving over to Class 6A, George County took that game or that series in 2 games, winning both games by final scores of 3-2.
Yeah, let me pull this up. George County, like I said earlier, they're another team that kind of punched me in my mouth throughout the year. We didn't have them ranked early. I kept hearing about them. I finally got to see them. I actually saw them at Pearl River Central, which I think, nothing against Warren Central. Completely nothing against Warren Central, but the series between Pearl River Central and George County was a really big series, and both those teams probably could have went to the state championship and probably won it. I was impressed by both teams, but George County pulls it out. George County has a couple of guys that we know of. We've got let's see, Preston McAdory was a future gamer for us. He threw game 1 and threw really well. I mean, he had 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, and then let's see, Connor. Let's see. I'm sorry. I think they had trying to figure out, see who came in and closed the door for Canyon Reeves. Maybe I think it was Canyon Reeves came in and got the save, and then in game 2, same thing, 3-2 victory both games. This second time it was Andrew Nelson, who's I think he's headed to East Central. Maybe he threw 5 innings, 4 2/3, no earned runs, and then Reeves comes in and gets him another save, or actually picked up the win in that game. But just good pitching, man, and they got it done in 6A. So I mean, they've had a really solid season, and I know McAdory's coming back, so they could be really solid again moving into next year.
All right, turning over to Class 7A, last one here. Hernando and Brandon. Brandon took that series in 2 games by final scores of 5-2 and 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to do all over again, I'd still pick Hernando. Just because they've got some real power in their lineup. They've got a couple of really good arms, and Topher Jones and
Luke Romine.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say Thomas Mitchell and Topher Jones, and not that I'm not saying Luke Romine, but he was somebody that I really wasn't sure about as a pitcher. Not because I wasn't sure about his ability, but I just hadn't heard as much because I know he was coming back from that knee injury, and I started seeing his name on the game logs as far as pitching, and then he comes in and has a really, really good playoff run and stretch, and on the mound. I was there for that game and saw him. I think he was up to 88, 90. I mean, just last time I saw him pitch, he was 84, 85. You could tell he was a good arm, but I just didn't know he was going to keep progressing like that. And I'm sorry, he was up to 88. I think it was Walker was up to 90. But yeah, he's just they just have a really good staff as far as arms go, and then they've got him on the other side of the ball too. Just had a really outstanding offensive year. I want to say he hit 370 or 380 with 8 or 9 home runs and close to 40 RBIs. So I'm just thinking going into that series, I'm not quite sure because I'd seen Brandon more. I'm just not quite sure if Brandon can handle that attack, and Brandon handled that attack. Walker Hooks, who I think I told you when we were making these picks that Brandon would win game 1, but I said they were going to lose the series. So Brandon goes out and Walker Hooks does what he does. He wins. The only scratch on his night was a 2-run homer from Luke Romine. So he gets through that game, and you think going into the next game that, from what I saw throughout the year, I just didn't know if any arms on Brandon were going to be able to overcome that offense from Hernando and Jackson Clark through the game of his life, man. I want to say 77 pitches. I may be wrong, but
wow.
Yeah, 77 pitches and 7 innings. It was just as efficient as you can think of, and just got it done, man. And 1-0 game. I may could pull that up to make sure I know I said that right. It may have been, I may be thinking of Walker Hook's 77 pitch game. It may have been more like 85, but let me make sure. I'll pull it up right now. 1-0, and it was. Well, I'm sure I'll be wrong. No, 77 pitches, 7 innings, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks, just pure beauty. And he got to experience what every kid wants to experience, man. A big old crowd on top of you. So.
All right, closing the door on the 2024 season there. So finished up at 54-18 overall. Not too bad, Matt.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty excited about that. I mean,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I if I went into it again and you asked me, what do you think you'll finish? I would have not said that good. So I think that gives people an idea. We do know a little bit about the kids that we're talking about and the teams that we're talking about, and at the end of the day, I will say this: our job really, isn't about rankings and team promotion. It's more about player promotion, but it gives us a good idea of the personnel on a lot of these teams just from covering them throughout the year, either at our showcases or at games we go to all year.
Spring. And covering games it's one of the best parts of the job, in my opinion, just getting out and watching some ball. So
yep, you're right.
All right. And then you followed up. You were at Trustmark, and then what was it? 2 days later, you started scout day.
I came home for one night, and then got back on the road to Oxford, Mississippi for the Easley Baseball Scout Day.
Oh yeah, Easley was first. That's right. No, Golden Spikes was the week before Trustmark.
Oh yeah. Yes, Golden Spike was the 19th.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking it was all right there together. So yeah, let's go Golden Spikes first. I know you want to touch on some standouts.
Yeah, there's a couple of players we need to mention. I think first of all, and this kid was pretty good last year too when we did this, but Eli Swearinger. Eli is Clarkdale, which Clarkdale is on here quite a few times. I think they have several players that play with the Knights, and Eli jumps out with a 6.5 60 to start the day. Of course, most of you guys know we do our 60s the first thing we do each day, which maybe we should do it later in the day, get their legs warm, but we give them plenty of time to get loose, and he jumps out of there and with a 6.5. He also had an 83 mile an hour infield velocity, 84 mile an hour outfield velocity, and then you can see there his swings, really good, polished looking swing, line drive approach. It looks like I think he worked middle of the field a lot, but yeah, just an overall really solid looking player. That's uncommitted. So he's definitely a player that I would want to make sure I get out and see as much as possible this summer, just in case he's not available very much longer. Let's see who else. Luke Williams. Luke kind of surprised me. And to be honest with you, they had several arms that surprised me. The year before last year, I think they had a really, really solid day at the plate. Had some talent on the mound as well, but the plate stood out. This year, the mound stuck out for me, as they had some serious talent walking up there. Luke was one of the first throwers of the day and dropped a 91 on us. I think it says 90.4 on the TrackMan, but I want to say one of our guns had 91. So that was pretty impressive for me, for him to step up there and do that. I think Luke is I think he's committed. Let me see where he's committed. Where does it say on there?
East Central.
Yeah, East Central commit. Which, by the way, East Central just finished off a really good year. Went 55-9, I think.
I think they played like 63 or 64 games.
Yeah, they just finished up in the Division II College World or Junior College World Series. But hats off to those guys. But they're getting another really quality arm right there. Then Brayson Graham shows up on the mound too, and he drops another 90 for us. And this is another kid. I think he's a JUCO commit. So you got him on there. Where he's headed? He's headed to
Jones College.
Yeah, Jones. So I mean, there's a couple arms that showed up that were that bumped the 90-mile-an-hour threshold, which a lot of these kids are looking for. But then they also had Jackson Whitcomb, Jax Joyner, Cade Culpepper, Ian Smith, John Parker Hancock, who I've always liked. John Parker Hancock's probably on there. His arm action is just, I love his arm action. He's not a big kid, but look at the whip that he gets in that arm.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's a 2025, but I feel like he might reach his actual potential in college, and which I'll take that back. I guess a lot of them do, but I just feel like he'll see a big jump once he gets to college. But yeah, he TJ Gordon, Connor Moore. Congrats to Connor Moore. Connor Moore just committed to Meridian, where we actually held this event. Connor was a pitcher, man. Connor threw strikes, kept the ball in the zone really well with all three of his pitches that we saw. Really quality changeup that plays off his fastball arm action. Little tight slider, just solid. What you would call a pitcher. A lot of days these days you see throwers that just rear back and let it go. Connor was one of those guys that actually has a really feel for what's going on up there. Chandler Cobb, Caden Lowry, Colin Smith, and Logan Langley. I'll give Cohen Liggett on there too, and Bo Bradley. Talking about all 80-mile-plus arms. So really good event as far as pitchers go. And you're talking about only about a 35, 40 player event, and that many kids throwing 80+. That means you got that many kids that colleges are kind of watching. So
sure.
really good day with those guys. I will give a shout out to a couple of guys. Let's see, Major Smith, big right-handed power hitter from Starkville, was up to 96-mile-an-hour exit velocity. Aiden Westmoreland from Heritage is always Heritage Academy is every time we see him, he's getting close to 100 on the exit velocity. He was 95 that day. Let's see who else on here.
Hey, random question: is Cade Culpepper Cal Culpepper's
Yes.
brother? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, really great body and some genetics to go along with it. He's going to be a solid player. I think he's just 2026 or 2027. What was he? 2020.
He's a 26. Wasn't Cal a future gamer?
Yes, Cal was a future gamer. I think he might have been on my first future games team that I went to. Yeah. And he's redshirted at Southern Miss right now. So, but yeah, man, all in all, a good, really good. Colin Smith, another guy that stands out. Jackson Whitcomb, I think I said him on pitching, but yeah, man, just a really, really good group of players that those guys, can be proud of. Really cool group of guys too. I mean, real respectful. So we look forward to doing that as much as we can. But really good day with Golden Spikes.
All right, yeah, that event took place on May 19th, right before the state finals took place, and then right after the state finals, you were up in Oxford with the Easley Scout Day, the Easley Baseball Club. So I know you want to touch on some guys.
Yeah, another good day with Easley, man. I'll tell you this: the previous 3 years we've done the Easley Scout Day, we've had over 100 kids, I think. This particular week, I guess I didn't do my research well enough, but North Mississippi schools were still in. So some of the kids weren't able to get there. And I think Tennessee, some of Easley's players are in Tennessee, and some of those guys were at the top prospect event they were having. So a little smaller crowd, still around 50, really quality players. And we'll touch on a few of those guys. We ended up having that event at Oxford High School. Oxford and me have some history, but they were really cool to let us use their facility that day, and a beautiful facility it is. Coach Cade Hoggard, he was when I was at Delta State after my career ended in professional baseball. I went back and helped out, and he was a player there. He also played at Mississippi State a little bit, but yeah, man, he's got some good stuff going with that program, and the place was beautiful. We'll touch on a few of these numbers. few standout runners. Garrett Latham, 6'6", 360. Gavin Perro had a day. 6'7", 260. Gavin is a Pearl River commit.
Yeah, 92 across the infield.
Yeah, 92 miles an hour across the infield, and there's more. He stepped on the mound later. Let's see here. Owen Roebuck, 6'7", 8". Donovan Dixon, who we've had at several of our events, junior future. He was a 6'8", 5" for 2027. Let's see here. Anybody else? Daniel Hopper, just a 7'0", but he's got some sneaky speed. We'll touch on him in just a second. But yes, just some pretty good runners that day. And a lot of young guys that are going to get faster too. So then we go to the outfield. We had, like I said, Daniel Hopper from Grenada was up to 90 miles an hour from the outfield, just to 2027. So he's got some. There's going to be some eyes on him. He's a really good quality player, young player. Let's see here. Phil Chamberlain, Landon Hochel. 85 from outfield. We jump on the infield, and of course, you just said it. Gavin Perro throws a 92-mile-an-hour bullet across the infield, and I want to say he was 88 to 92 on all of his throws. Landon Hochel, 86. We mentioned Landon a few times. We're also going to mention him on pitchers. Cooper Bierman looked really good this weekend. Cooper is a guy who's really somebody that we're eyeballing hard, just to kind of see how some things roll out. John Gray Morrison, 86 across the diamond, another big swing, big bat from West Union. Witten Ellis, 85 plus from outfield. Yeah, so some pretty good position players, and then we jump on the catchers. Had a 197 out of Landon Rumbaugh, which was the best of the day for the catchers. Landon was 74 mile an hour arm velo from behind the plate. And then he had a bunch of young guys. We had a bunch of young catchers that day, all moving in a really good position. Let's see, Ethan Party. He's been at a few of our junior future events. He's a 2028. But yeah, man, it was just some really good position players. And then we hop on the mound, and you can see kind of some of the arms that were there. I will say Cooper Bierman. We'll talk about it in just a second before we talk about Gavin. Cooper played really well all day in all phases. He's a really consistent player. He's definitely a dual role prospect. I don't know where I see him yet, because he does a lot of really good things. I'm just not sure if I'm a recruiter where I see him headed. He can do both to me. At the next level, I just not quite sure which one attracts me the most. He hopped on the mound, and just the action he gets on a lot of his pitches is just soft contact inducing type pitches, and fun to watch him throw bullpen. Gavin Perro. Gavin was a pretty impressive arm that day. He let me see if I can pull up some of his other numbers.
Breaking balls.
He also was 95-mile exit velocity too, so he's swung back real well too.
Breaking ball looks like it's you're talking about Gavin, 2,500.
Yeah. He had some really solid repertoire of pitches, and Coach Avalon is definitely getting an arm that is on par with what we've seen out of Pearl River here the last few years. So he's going to be a really good player. Still got another year in high school though at Madison Central. So I'm sure he'll be a go-to arm next year. I think they just lost Chase Russell to Southern Miss, so Gavin will step in and do his part. Let's see here. Daniel Hopper, another 2027 up to 86.
He's a physical kid too.
Yeah, he's got pretty good stature, real kind of athletically built. Landon Hochel was another standout arm. Landon kind of reminded me of Cooper. I mean, they don't look alike, but the way the ball come out of their hand, Landon has some action, some arm side run that's going to induce some ground balls. He had a really good showing. Ashton Spur, a lefty. from where's Ashton? I think Ashton is actually from Kentucky, but he was an arm that looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's a Kentucky kid. Yeah.
Yeah, Carter Dawson, Connor Yarbrough, Garrett Latham, Phil Chamberlain, Noah Scott, Whitten Ellis, Jackson Hira, who was a 2028 that was at our Rising Stars event, Ryan Guest. Those are all 80-mile-an-hour plus arms that were at the event. So shout out to those guys. And once again, Easley Baseball's got some talent at all levels.
Yeah, and that was half of them not there, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, really. I mean, it's always a good group of players, and Ed does a really good job. His staff does a really good job helping us out, as do the Golden Spikes. So we really appreciate those guys, and we're actually talking with a couple of other programs about getting some stuff done. SBG Sox, they've reached out and want to do something, so we just got to figure out the timetable for it. But yeah, man, we love doing these things. It really allows us to get to know the players a little bit more personal. And talk to really get to talk to the actual guys that run the organization about their players. So appreciate these guys getting involved with us.
Yeah, had that event was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday this past week, and then turn around on Wednesday, and you had the Jackson Summer ID, which I think consisted of around 43 players.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. That was being at the state championship all the week before, and then. And my son Maddox was with me. And then coming home, actually, I came home to get him on Thursday, had to finish school. And then I'm with him all weekend at state championships and his tournament. And then come home for one night, and we go back. And he was a trooper. He went with me to Oxford. and you don't know yet, but trying to get a 16, 17-year-old kid out of bed for a showcase 2 mornings in a row at 6:30 isn't the best, but I'll give him credit. He worked hard, and appreciate him. So let's see here. Let's talk about some. Look, the Jackson Summer ID ended up being a really solid ID. Most of the time, our ID events are geared towards players we really don't know. We're really trying to get to know that, or either they're players that we've already seen that are maybe trying to increase their metrics. Well, we saw some players we didn't really know this time, and they stood out, and it ended up being a really, really good ID showcase. Let's touch on some of the guys that ran first. Let's see here. We actually had everything going that day. Let's see. The top 60 of the day was, I'd say it was a 665 because we don't like that term or that number. So Graham Jackson, I didn't know anything about Graham Jackson. I had heard the name. Graham's dad played at Mississippi State back around the time I was playing. Maybe he may be a little young, maybe a couple years younger than me. But I didn't know anything about Graham other than just some stuff from his dad. But he gets there and drops that 665 on us. And I'm like, and that always makes me wonder because what I hate seeing is a kid who runs a 665 and then has no other tools because it's really hard to play this game if you don't have any tools to go along with that speed. Well, he had some tools to go along with that. But we'll talk about that in a second. Henry App, another standout. I knew a little bit about Henry. He was a junior future a couple years ago. So we knew a little bit about him, but he has really progressed, and it's exciting to watch that progression. Tanner Brinkley and Joshua Parker both under 7, and then we had some kids that are getting faster. They're young. I mean, Landon Johnson ran 7:09. He's a 2028. I think we had another pretty quick 2020.
There's a 7:16 out of CJ Spencer.
Yeah, so you think about those guys running those numbers at that age. I mean, you're going to get faster. Your body matures, they're going to get faster. So, really good start today with some 60s. Then we go right into hitting, but let's talk about some of the defensive stuff first. Carson Shales. Carson is out of Itawamba. Didn't know anything about him. He's an uncommitted 2025. So he's a player that's wide open for recruiters. 89 mile an hour across the diamond from shortstop. He, of course we haven't seen him in gameplay, but he looked the part that day. He's somebody I think I would highly recommend getting out and seeing play this summer. I don't know if he'll make it into his senior year of high school before he's committed, but he's somebody that I would find out where he's playing and go follow him. Graham Jackson, said it before, 87 across the diamond. Really advanced hands. I mean, I honestly, I think his dad said they'd moved from maybe Texas. I don't know if they've been here. I don't think I'm confusing him with somebody else, but I feel like he had been somewhere before, and so there may be some people that don't know about him. But no, you need to find out about him. He had tools across the board. Did really well all day. Are you able to see any of that?
No, I didn't see any previous events. I was going to see if he had attended a Texas event, but
he stepped up there and was 87 across the diamond with loose arm, a lot of range. Of course, he has the speed. We talked about it, but a player that 100% would be on our senior future games, and I'm going to try my best to get him on that team because he will stand out. He also was 95 on the exit velocity, sprayed the ball around the diamond. I mean, just all around solid player, and will play 4 years of college baseball if he decides he wants to do that. He's not just playing 2 years; he's going 4 years for sure. Let's see here, Noah Williams. Noah's an arm at our, I guess he's a dual guy at Northwest Rankin. He impressed us a little bit on the mound this weekend. He was up to 87 across the diamond. Yeah, up to 87 across the diamond. And I think he was like 86 on the mound. We'll talk about it in just a second. Jace Griffin, a buddy of mine whose dad played with me in college, in pro ball. He's come over from Louisiana and had a really good event. He was 86 from the outfield, 83 from the infield. I'll have to talk to Alex Armand about him a little bit. Michael Evans, 83 across the diamond. Elijah Johnson, 83 across the diamond. Carson Filial. Wilkes Carter, Tanner Binkley, Noah Napier, all 80-mile-an-hour plus across the diamond. Jump to the outfield. We had Henry App at 88, Jace Griffin at 86, Nelson Barthel, who is a very solid catching prospect, was up to 86 from the outfield. Landon Johnson, Ty Latham, and Jacoby Haynes, all 80 plus from the outfield. And then the catchers. Look, man, we had 3 of the top catchers in the state, in my opinion, at this event. Cameron McCain, of course, is a 2025, 78 from behind the dish, 1.4 or 1.94 to a 203. And then JD Harvey steps up at 79. He's a 2026, so he's definitely a guy we're eyeballing possibly as a future gamer. 79 with 193 to a 203. And then Nelson Barthel, 77, 194 to a 206. And Jace Griffin, 75. And then Mason McCain, Cameron's little brother Mason, was there, 72. I mean, you're talking about some very solid catching prospects, and I would be willing to bet all 5 of those catchers play college baseball. Just outstanding group of catchers, and you'll hear more from those guys in the future. Nelson Barthel caught all year as a sophomore at Northwest Rankin. That's impressive to be the starting catcher at a 7A school in the 10th grade. I mean, you're talking about a position that takes a lot of skill. Did a really good job, man. So just an outstanding group of catchers at this event. So let's see. We hop on the mound. Well, we hadn't talked about hitters yet. Let's talk about some hitters. Exit velocities. I know people. The exit velocity doesn't really matter unless it's the swing is in play. Also, we've seen some big, strong guys that can hit but have high exit velocities. So believe me, I know that exit velocities. I know what the worth is. But Henry App stepped up, and his first swing of the day was 100. And he averaged 95 throughout his round. Left-handed hitter, pull-aside guy, got some loft, will hit some balls. I think he hit that ball 393 or something, 397 feet. You're talking about a 2026 player too. So he's another guy that is probably going to be in Atlanta. When you put up those type of numbers, and then you back it up with the way you look on the field, and it's just what college scouts want to see. So he'll be a guy that we're going to have to mark down as a guy that we might want to see out there. Aiden Valente, 94 exit velocity. Wilk Carter, 93 exit velocity. And there's that Graham Jackson guy again, 94. Carson Filial, 93. Nelson Barthel, 92. JD Harvey, 92. Jace Griffin, 92. Might as well spit them all out. They hit 90. Hayes White, 90, 92. Cameron McCain, 90. Carson Shells, 90. Noah Napier, 90. And then Owen Bird, Parker Hawkins. Parker Hawkins is 2028. He was up to 90. Elijah Johnson. I think that was all of the 90-plus guys. So pretty good, pretty solid group of hitters at the plate. So, all in all, pretty good day. And then we get to the pitching. And had some really good arms there as well. I mean, we had 1, 2. I'm gonna spit them out for you name-wise, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 arms, 80+, 81+. It's pretty good for an ID event. It's in Mississippi, and I know there's other states that have way better, way higher population of players at their events. But when you got 10 arms at 81+, and we did have 3 or 4 colleges watching this, so those are all arms that those guys are interested in. So, Apt had Noah Williams, both 86. Nothing against Apt as a pitcher, but he can throw the ball, as you can see. But it's hard to see him. In my opinion, he's probably going to be a position player with a good arm. Maybe the same thing with Noah Williams. I thought Noah Williams had some really good arm side action. Had some feel for his all-speed stuff. And he will be a go-to arm for Northwest Rankin Cougars next year. So John Grove, a couple of POs showed up. John Grove and Braxton Smith, both 2026s that threw well. Both up to mid-80s, 85 tops. Aiden Valente, 85. Reed Vineyard, who's a lefty arm from Jackson Prep. I didn't know this, but Reed Vineyard actually led the Jackson Prep Patriots in games this year. I think he threw 21 games.
Yeah, I saw that on your write-up.
Yeah, 21 games with a really low ERA, and he's a uncommitted arm, man. So he's a hot commodity, left-handed side and throwing 85. Jace Griffin up to 83, Wooks Carter 82, Hayes White 82, Carson Filial 81, and then we had. I will touch on a couple of, nothing against these other guys, but I will touch on a couple of 2028s. Let's see. Landon Johnson, 2028 at 79. Tyler Latham, 2028 at 79. And then Tyler Warren, who's only 78, with only 78. He's a 2028. You're talking about rising ninth graders, almost 80 already. So, I mean, some really, really solid arms and a lot of future, high velocity possibly. When we say high velocity, we're talking about upper 80s right now in high school baseball. And so we see a few of those guys headed in that direction. So, just an outstanding event held at Jackson Prep. Beautiful facility there, and had a good time with it. And then we got to go home and rest
until the next one.
Yeah,
until the next one. Well, I think we lied, Matt. We said we weren't going to keep them long. We're at 53 minutes.
Well, sometimes you get long-winded when you talk about something you love.
Yeah, that's true. And we enjoy doing the podcast. It's something we look forward to. I know we didn't do one last week. Well, it's really been 2 weeks. We've just been all over the place. So like we said on the last one where we previewed the state championship series, we're just going to try to get on, and even if it's bi-weekly or whatever during the summer, just to kind of keep you guys updated with where we're at. We did say before we got on, I think we were kind of just being negative. We were just like, I don't know how many people's going to tune in on a Sunday night with
bigger number
with college baseball games going on. And I mean, I think we got 915 that have tuned in live. So, I mean, as soon as I clicked the countdown timer and went live, I think it went up to like 56 people, like right off the bat. So really good to see. Yeah. So
there's a lot of guys missing high school baseball already.
I guess so. I guess so. You
let me showcase this. For the rest, every event our guys come to from now on, look at that pearl right there, that beautiful thing right there.
Yeah.
We had these event at our last event at Jackson. I think Jackson ID was the first event we got these hats, and I will say it really helps with the profile pics. And these are going to be staples at all of our events now. So you get yours when you show up.
Those are clean. They look good.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it doesn't look as good as it does on me as it does on the kids, but I'm gonna figure it out. I really like the logo, the style, something we needed. I'm glad we got it, man. They look really tight.
Yeah. player of the year coming out in Mississippi tomorrow.
I wonder who that's going to be.
I don't know. I think he stole like 80-something bases, but I don't know. And then obviously that post-event content coming out from each event each week is on the website, as you guys just saw there on our screen that we were sharing. And then we're going to keep updating the heat sheet throughout the summer as well. So we're going to try to carry that on throughout the rest of the year, guys. We see. I know Matt's making a stop by the MPI next week, so probably we'll have some artists add that are over 85, and then anybody from the events we'll add them on there. So
should add. We got a few to add this week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I think from Easley, I think I added the ones from Golden Spikes. So Easley and the Jackson Summer ID we'll have to add on there. So that's all I got, man. You got anything else you want to touch on before we hop?
I'm good, man.
All right. Well, like I said, over 900 live viewers on this stream, which is great. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. And then follow on social. Come to an event and get a new lid. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.
See you.